I am joined with Ajay Aggarwal, Nutanix SVP of Global System Engineering and Field Readiness. Thanks for being here today, Ajay.
Thanks, Cheryl. Great to be here. Thank you.
So Ajay, you work with customers all over the world, all shapes and sizes, architecting solutions. So as you look at the polling questions, it looks like everybody's experiencing a lot of challenges. Can you share your thoughts on that?
Yeah, definitely crazy times we're having, but there's quite a bit of consistency in what we're hearing from our customers across the world. The first real big challenge that they're seeing is in they're trying to rapidly kind of redesign how they operate is how quickly they can deploy applications, infrastructure, et cetera, right? I think really gathering their resources quickly and be able to deploy is a key challenge that folks have, especially as they're, re-architecting the way they operate. And the second thing is they want to do more with less. This is fairly common in the pandemic time, but just in general. It's obviously become more exasperated this time. And so looking to really automate more, become more efficient in their processes, however they can be better serving to their customer base has become, very much a challenge. And then really, how they remotely how they remotely manage through this time. Obviously, everybody is dispersed, and how do they manage their users, their applications, et cetera, when everybody's working from home?
So with data being one of the most valuable assets, you touched on the fact that maintaining a database is it can be complex, right? So what advice or strategies do you have so that people can either manage their data efficiently or, again, just be able to manage their database?
Yeah, I think, during these times, I think, a lot of folks are, first and foremost, really taking inventory of what they have. Typically when we talk to customers, they have multiple types of instances of databases, across multiple environments. And most importantly, with varying SLAs. I think this is a great time to be able to talk to the business unit owners and to really understand the performance requirements, to understand, RTOs, data kind of retention times, et cetera. So this is a great time to really take inventory overall. The second thing is really, what does the workflow look like for your databases? We work with many customers and they have varying times that it takes to deploy. And, really looking at the processes and automation around that to see, where they can get better, more efficient. The third kind of thing that customers are really looking at is, all the various retention policies and how they're going to recover. So when you have all these databases or the sprawl of all the databases, how do you do patching, cloning, snapping, recovery, all these various things across hundreds or thousands of databases. And again, how do you really optimize for all of them? The fourth thing is really, where the where the databases run. Again, typically folks have, some type of dev test prod life cycle or journey. Sometimes they're running on-prem or off-prem, depending on SLA, security requirements, et cetera. And now's a great time to take stock of all that. And then last but not least is, how you can be impactful to the business. We're seeing a lot of analytics types use cases that our customers are really trying to, get off the ground. And I think now's a great time to really do the research and understand how you can do it better.
So talk about specifically the technology. There's a lot of solutions that we provide, but in terms of just, again, all of the customers and people that you talk to globally, I'm sure there's a consistent set of requirements that are needed to do all of the things that you just touched on. So can you get specific about just some basic technology requirements that people on this call should be looking at?
Yeah, I think the first one is really how quick to deploy. Going back to my original challenges, I think as an example, infrastructure shouldn't take weeks to go deploy. It should be hours. And we work with a lot of customers. From the time we get an order to the time of actual databases up and running, matter of days. And that's from shipping times, rack stack install, everything. So I think that's something that we're working, not only from a technology perspective, but also an operations and process view. The second thing is really how do you deploy, clusters of databases? We have the ability to be able to profile, create certain type of images, based again on the requirements around retention, SLAs, performance, all those kind of things, and where the application should run. And with the one-click operation, be able to deploy the entire database cluster and not only deploy it, but make sure that it's fully operational and kind of have a view and making sure it's always operational. We drastically simplify all of the life cycle for the database, how it's patched, all the way, from firmware and the infrastructure all the way up to operating systems and the databases themselves. Again, via this one click, be able to manage the entire life cycle of that database. And then the last thing is really reducing your storage capacity drastically. As an example, doing 0-byte copy datas of your databases, we've seen tremendous efficiency gained in the amount of storage that's required for all the different sprawl of databases that might be occurring in your environment.
Got it. One quick question. Could you do this without a hyperconverged infrastructure?
It becomes really challenging because at the end of the day, the more siloed infrastructure that you have, the harder it is to manage across, various groups and technology stacks. So hyperconverged makes it, it breaks down those silos. It makes it much easier to go deploy the automation that's required to be successful here.
All right. Thank you so much for being with us, Ajay. That was Ajay Aggarwal, Nutanix SVP of Global SEs and Field Readiness.